Okay, we're just going to take a break for a moment, and in the meantime, why don't you listen to a word from our sponsors? Awkward. Okay, we're back from the break, and we're going to continue on with the next section, which is war machines. Did you actually want to start off on this? Because,
right.
I've been starting each time, so...
war machines. So you've got your, cannons and trebuchets and things of that nature. What do you use them for? To blast the enemy. And it makes sense in Kings of War how they work. The one thing that a lot of people have had trouble with since the switch from first edition to second edition is war machines, because Alessio, in his almighty wisdom, decided that most war machines only get one attack. Like, say, the Balefire Catapult, which has been the source of much displeasure, including on my end. Because even with the Blast special rule, which basically gives you D3 hits, or D6 hits, depending on the blast, it still doesn't seem enough, because you're not causing enough hits that you would think that a war machine would do to a unit, you know?
Yeah, I can see. So basically what my understanding of the rule is, you get one shot per turn. I think it only hits on a 6, and then you only get D6 wounds on the unit, which, is quite a bit. It's almost more than one guy. It's more than D6 guys in the way it works sometimes. But at the same time, you're only hitting on a 6.
Right. Well, that depends both on the on how many attacks it gets. You'll see that in the profile, and then also its not ballistic skill, ranged. Ranged.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but I think that was the consternation a lot of people had with those ones that only hit on...
Yeah, the Balefire Catapult, it only hits on a 6, so it's really annoying. Plus, war machines, and this is taking it straight from the War Engines page, all war engines have the reload special rule, which means the unit can only fire if it received a halt order that turn. So...
Well, I'm fine with that, personally.
Yeah, it can fire each turn, but you have to keep it stationary. So if something happens in a unit that you want to attack moves out of your firing arc, you gotta move it, and you're gonna have to wait. So...
Actually, no, I don't think so. I think my interpretation of the rules is that it says that they can pivot for free.
Oh! Well, that's my bad.
Now, let's double check this, and we'll cut this out, actually, Max, and we'll come back and but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Arcs, line of sight. War engines can see all around. Always. Yeah. So will we jump back in?
Sweet. Yeah. Sure.
Okay. So guys, I'm gonna just read out the rule. Line of sight. War engines can see all around. Always pivot the war machine to face towards the intended target. Blah blah blah. Which is something I personally actually don't like, because I think that if you set up the war machine badly and it's facing the wrong way, it's your fault. Personally, I would like it if instead of one shot a turn hitting on 6s, it was one shot a turn hitting on 4s or 5s, and you can't pivot.
Right.
Because that makes it a much more, it's not this kind of amateur hour kind of piece of equipment. It's something that you actually have to put thought into, but if you do put thought into, you'll be doubling your benefits every turn compared to how it is currently.
Right.
Maybe the points might need to be adjusted, but that's how I would like them.
Right.
In this rule book that I'm apparently writing over all of Alessio's really hard work.
Right.
Like a jerk.
Well, no, I understand where you're coming from, and I think personally, as an undead player, I think the Balefire Catapult should be lower in price than it is.
Or hitting on 5s.
Or hitting on 5s. Now, that would... hitting on 5s would make up for the higher points cost. But then, if you want to keep it the way it is, Alessio, just bring it down a little bit. Now, I can understand that with other war machines, too, because dwarves have taken a hit, and so have elves. Elves less so, because they've got this multiple firing rule since they have a bolt thrower. but
Yeah.
still, or probably not multiple firing. It's because they are elite. Every unit is elite. They get to re-roll stuff. But I think that War Machines should be looked over again and fine-tuned, or
something.
taken back to first edition.
Yeah, I liked the first edition one, and I think maybe it was deliberate of him to make such a different second edition to see how much the fans would like kind of grab hold of certain rules and say, no, God, no, please don't kill our precious rule.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So maybe that was deliberate. So I think we got War Machines down. Moving on to special rules, I think the section is brilliant. I think the idea of universal special rules is something that should be mandatory for any reasonably large scale combat game.
Right.
And even most skirmish games. Because it's just, it's just a dream kind of coming into a tournament situation or meeting a new person you've not really played much before going, hey, what does that unit do? Oh, they have such and such special rule? Oh, I know that because I have the rule book. And
right.
Yeah, it's just so much easier than this like individual per army thing.
Yeah. Now I can understand that, the way Alessio handled the differences between the armies, because if you look at them, it's basically names and then the army-wide special rule. And I love that he did the army-wide special rule, but it's in the special rules in the rulebook. I love that, because it makes it easy to have one place where everything is.
Yeah, I have got to say that I think that in some ways those army-wide special rules are mandatory and completely support my idea of how universal special, oh my God, I can't say universal at all. Universal special rules should work, because it makes each army unique in that way, and then it allows you to make each unit unique within the context of these other rules.
Right.
Now, the only thing I don't like about the special rules, yes, sorry?
No, I said right. I was agreeing with you.
Okay. The only thing I don't like about the special rules is the individual rule, because I think that since he can get double attacks in the side of the enemy or triple attacks in the rear, but they can't get it on him, he becomes a bit too much of a power character. And since he's so small that he can get in between their lines and move up behind them quite easily, it seems that the use for characters is maybe not what's intended, because the use for characters at the moment is to jump behind the enemy unit and then attack them in the rear while you engage their forces from the front.
Right.
Which is why the Twilightkin, not to get into army specifics too much, but the Twilightkin assassin is way too powerful, I think, because of the rule, not just because of the Twilightkin assassin.
Right.
Yeah. But I think most of even that rule is good.
Right.
It's just at the moment it has just one too many benefits or one too few disadvantages.
Right.
I think I really like everything about it otherwise.
Right.
Thoughts?
Well, no, I agree with you. I think it works. I think it works.
Okay. All right. Now, the last couple of little bits that we have left to talk about, they're kind of more looking at tournaments versus casual and how you could enact a tournament, because it's chess clocks. And this is the last thing that they're very clear. This is an optional thing. If you're casual gamers, you do not have to use chess clocks or timers in your rules. So I'm just going to and basically chess clocks means that for your entire game, you could have, say, 30 minutes to game. And each time you finished your go, you hit your button.
Right.
And then the other person's timer goes. And then when they hit their button, your timer starts to go.
Right.
And yeah. Anyway, so, you could take 10 minutes one turn, 2 minutes another. It balances out.
Exactly.
Now, my opinion of chess clocks is that I think that in a tournament, if someone runs out of time on chess clocks, they should lose victory points equal to half the total army values allowed at the tournament or something like that. I think the current rule of outright losing the game might kind of skew tournaments a little bit too much.
Right.
Then again, I wasn't at the invitational, so I don't know. The other thing is, I would say that they lose half their points and they can no longer move their units while the other person gets a couple of goes. Problem with that is maybe it's boring for the other player, but, does it just kind of suck and, they just have to live with it? Or do you want to not make it this kind of unenjoyable 5 or 10 minutes at the end of the game?
Right.
So, I think that I don't have a suggestion that's really airtight.
Yeah, neither do I, but I see where he was going with it because, if you run out of time, it basically, as far as my understanding goes, it's like your army retreats off the field. I can understand that.
In a way, you could say, like, what's happened in this situation is your commander has kind of dithered around a bit, and he's completely caused the army to collapse because of just overthinking everything.
Yep.
What I would say is a more realistic representation of what would happen is if someone realized that they were running out of time and then just had very, very short turns.
Yeah.
Because that means that if both players are running out of time, then the game has to end and they total up victory points.
Yep.
But if one person is running out of time, they get barely like seconds to react. They can't charge because it's too much of a waste of time because of all the dice involved. They just get to react and retreat and stuff. And then the other person can just really press the attack, which is what I would love to see happen.
Right.
And I think that works within what he's doing.
Yeah.
It's just that if someone's an idiot and actually loses,
yeah,
then it kind of leaves a sour taste both for the person who won almost unfairly and for the person who lost.
Well, it also depends on whether the person who had ran out of time was taking a long time to make decisions, and then basically what he did was he charged all his units forward or whatever, and he lost a bunch of them. I can understand that.
Yeah.
Because if you lose a bunch of units and you don't have much time left, there's not really much you can do, and so you're probably gonna lose unless something crazy happens.
Yeah, exactly. I feel it's an unfair representation because maybe you were about to win the game, or maybe the other guy was about to run out of time first and you just missed that. Like he got 10 seconds within the end of his turn. It was, or even 30 seconds within the end of his turn, and then it's your go and then you run out of time. It's those situations
exactly
where I think a slight adjustment is needed, but otherwise, I love the idea of it.
I do too.
I haven't gotten to play it, but having talked to John Martin, I really enjoyed his description of it.
Right.
I think really we're at the end. Otherwise, I mean, all I could mention is there are one or two discrepancies and errors in the writing of the rules, but everyone's giving that feedback, and this really is a situation where the community is inputting and getting rid of these discrepancies, and it's saving money for Mantic, and it's making people feel involved.
Right.
So I feel that I've said everything I feel I need to say in terms of specific areas of the rules.
Yeah.
And generally, I should say I enjoyed a game. If I had people who preferred to play Kings of War with me, I will play that. If I had people who would prefer to play Warhammer, considering the current state of Kings of War, I will play them.
Right.
So, I think they're about on par.
I really want to get this out there because I think it's a good rule set despite some of the little gribbles that we have. I personally am going to... I've got most of my dwarves painted from my Morgoth's Revenge set, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and do demos.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's a good idea. And I do think that the game, as it is at the moment, has come so unbelievably far, because my personal experience of Warhammer has been that I've played it for quite some time and become disillusioned with it, and only recently again with 8th edition, where I don't have to worry quite so much about, well, it's kind of a little bit too random for you to get too upset about, say, balance or badly written rules. And also, they have actually sorted out rules that I didn't like in a way I like. So really, if you had taken Warhammer 7th edition at the end of 7th edition with all the army books cluttering it,
right,
I would prefer current Kings of War. But in about a year or two, I'm probably going to prefer Kings of War to where Warhammer is right now.
Right. Me too. Me too. Personally, with over 100 pages of rules that I'm going to have to keep looking up because I can't remember all of them, what GW has done with Warhammer has really alienated me. I don't like it. I like Kings of War, so I'm going to play that. It's a simple choice for me.
Yeah. If you're not sure and you've not played either game, start on Kings of War, because at least you'll be able to play that within the first 2 days after picking up the rules.
Right. And it won't confuse you as much.
Yeah, I still have not been able to bring myself to finish reading the Warhammer rulebook. Which is kind of crappy, because I've been in a couple of 8th edition tournaments. It's, that's not how it should be.
Right.
But whatever. So I think we have done a pretty hefty overview of the Kings of War rules. That's pretty much it for this episode, really. I really enjoyed doing it, and I hope you did too, Max.
Oh, I did. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
And we've got news left, but we can do that later, and we can get it done. So
yeah. And do remember that if you disagree with anything said on this podcast, well, that's what the comment section below is for. So,
and also, if you want to email us your comments or other things, we have ManticMoments@gmail.com.
Yeah. Okay. So that's everything. And thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.
Bye. And that's it for episode 3. We really do hope that people keep in mind that this review of the rules was done with the best of intention, is probably the best way to put it. And we really genuinely do want any feedback that we can get. If you just pop things down in the comments, or you send us an email at ManticMoments@gmail.com. That's ManticMoments, all one word, just like the YouTube channel. We'd really appreciate it, and we might even use some of those comments or emails on the show to review what we've spoken about and what people think. We've also been sticking with a format that makes it a little bit easier for us to film. As you can tell, I'm doing the intro and the outro by myself, and Max is doing the news section by himself. If people are interested in this format, that's great. If people find that they would prefer to hear us both talking in these sections or in any one particular section, just to keep it with a bit more back and forth, do let us know. We're trying it out at the moment just to see how it sounds, how people find it, and also because it gives us a bit more room for maneuverability with some of the background things we're working on at the moment. So do let us know about that. And that's it. So see you next time.
Kill the brain.
I will trust you. You know what to do. You know what to do.
5, 4, 3. Okay, now we've reached the main topic of this episode's kind of fail. Oh my god. You know what? We're doing it live. We're doing it live.